we really are legitimately opening up Media Composer as a platform to facilitate just about any workflow you need. So it's pretty exciting. So I would say that's one of the really big exciting things. The other exciting thing that we've been working on at Avid is a tighter integration between sharing assets between Pro Tools and Media Composer. The biggest desire beyond opening up Media Composer was a desire to have a tighter integration that made it more seamless to work between the two platforms.
Ray, almost all of us have heard of Avid, know the quality products that they turn out, so I want to shift to the news to get started.
Sure.
Tell me about WolfTech.
WolfTech provides basically a solution that does collaborative automation for news. And so it's a huge piece for us to have on Media Central. It's a way for you to basically do things like assign tasks and a rundown. They get notified that the next, the person prior to you finished their piece. Now you do your piece. And so basically it's like workflow software that gets integrated into the Media Central platform.
But Avid's had newsroom software for a long time. Why do they want WolfTech?
So some of our newsroom software, as you may know, has got long in the tooth. It's been around a long time. And we had a solution called Collaborate. Well, this was far ahead of where Collaborate was. So this accelerates our time to market with a more powerful solution and enables greater collaboration and will tie very nicely into our existing platform. And so, yeah, it's just a really, really strong acquisition. And it's nice to see, as you know, Avid got purchased about a year ago by STG, and this is really the first acquisition that the company has made. And I'm really excited about it. It's a very strong move.
I would consider that to be at the high end of the services that Avid
Very true.
provides.
Yes.
What is Avid doing at the lower end?
Probably the biggest complaint for Media Composer is that it's not open, right? And so a year ago, Avid introduced the Panel SDK at IBC. And what that is the ability to run an HTML5 window inside of Media Composer. So think of any third-party app. Some recent examples would be something like SpectraLogic or Marquis Medway or Streamwell, some of which we're showing on the floor here. But there's many, many more. And basically what it allows you to do is have this third-party tool set running inside of Media Composer. So you can expand what's possible workflow-wise. And what's been exciting about it is it includes things like dailies, review, backup and archive, ingest, color, on and on and on. So we really are legitimately opening up Media Composer as a platform.
Are these like plugins? They're reduced versions or extensions, or how? What am I actually seeing when I run it?
So you would see, let's say, the full application. You open basically under the tools menu. You would pick, let's say, for example, you're using SpectraLogic. You would see an item for the Rio broker, which is what their tool is and what the panel does. And when you open it up, you have the full Rio broker capabilities running inside of a window that now is available inside of the editor. And so now I can perform my function. So let's say I'm a small post facility and I want to basically back up everything that's either on my Nexus system or whatever storage system I'm using. And I want to push it to either an object tier, a tape tier, even a cloud tier. I can now do that very easily using the Rio broker panels, which, again, to your earlier point, that was something that was pretty limited to sort of the higher end, more expensive Avid solution offerings. Well, now it's available to really anybody as a subscription, as a panel right inside of it. And that's just one example. And since we introduced this, the Panel SDK last IBC, we've had over 230 companies start building a panel. So the first 10 or 15 or so came out over the course of the summer, many of which we showed at IBC, a few of which we're showing here. But you're going to start to see, I think, a steady stream of new available panels that will extend the possibilities of what you can do with Media Composer in a very open fashion to facilitate just about any workflow you need. And it's all going to be coming out over the next, several years. So it's pretty exciting. So I would say that's one of the really big exciting things. The other exciting thing that we've been working on at Avid is a tighter integration between sharing assets between Pro Tools and Media Composer. I'm sure a lot of your users are very familiar with Pro Tools, and the biggest desire beyond opening up Media Composer was a desire to have a tighter integration that made it more seamless to work between the two platforms. And basically, it just makes bringing Pro Tools assets into Media Composer and Media Composer assets into Pro Tools seamless, as it should have been, honestly, for a long time, right? Because you would think we've owned the companies for so long, but for whatever reason, it took us a while to get to it. But those are two very, very cool features. And then the last thing I'll mention is this is a tech preview. It's coming soon. And we introduced Nexus caching. So Nexus caching is basically an intelligent cache that allows you to, if you have a Nexus, be somewhere, anywhere, and with the project open that you're working on, will intelligently go out, look at what you have in your storage, and then basically cache it locally so that no matter where you are, you have a very seamless editing experience. Even if you go offline and you're somewhere, whatever's in that cache, you're still working on your project, and you're still collaborating, you're still doing everything you were doing, and then you plug back in, and now you're still back to where you were. And then when you're done, cache empties, and you start all over again, right? So it's pretty exciting.
Let's talk Pro Tools for just a second. What's the process now to get from Media Composer? I've got my edit done. I need to do the sound sweetening in Pro Tools. Am I exporting it XML, or how does it get from point A to point B?
No, so there's a new way to basically take assets that are directly, traditionally Media Composer assets right into Pro Tools, and vice versa. There's a way to basically take Pro Tools assets and bring them directly into Media Composer. And the intelligent part of it is all of the information that goes along with both of those projects, all the metadata, everything is now completely round-tripped.
You're in charge of partners and alliances. Mm-hmm. What are you looking for? I'm not asking for pre-announcement, but where are you trying to take Avid? What's your goal?
I think what we're looking to do is really lean into the partnerships. We're really leaning into our APIs. We're trying to open up the platform to facilitate things like greater collaboration, and then workflow capabilities, and really enable workflows that, again, in the past, one of the bigger complaints by our users has been that we have not been open, right? And so we're trying to really aggressively open the platform up. APIs generally, is the way to go. Certainly, people are looking to automate, right, and basically drive higher efficiencies. So you can do that certainly through APIs and APIs as service. And so, so we're hearing that from our customers. They want to do automation just about anywhere they can. So you think about color, right, on Media Composer platform, or you think about dailies, right, on the Media Composer platform, or even collaboration, right, and just sharing content. Those are some of the earlier areas you're seeing a lot of, collaboration already, and a lot of partnerships. And again, focused on how do we enable things like automation, collaboration, efficiency, getting content faster to all the different places people need to send it to these days.
I think it would be fair to say that traditional media and broadcast is under a lot of pressure right now.
Yeah.
And struggling to figure out how to compete in a new world. What trends are you watching that we should pay attention to?
Certainly the emphasis on delivery to mobile and really to your own app as well. Always important, but being able to do it at scale and being able to do it in a more efficient manner is something that continues, right? People are still struggling, I think, to realize true value and money from delivering to social and digital platforms. Of course, because if you're sending to YouTube or even Facebook or wherever, right, half of that ad dollar is going to them, right? So how do you maximize that ad dollar? So that's part of what I think people are grappling with. And so being able to deliver more content, or content that's digital first, is really, really important. So that's one of the big trends we're watching on the broadcast side of things. On the post side of things, like I said, I think what we're seeing is just a real move towards automation in a way that broadcast actually has been doing for a long, long time, right? There's been tons of automation in broadcast for pretty much as long as it's been around. We haven't really seen that as much in post, but now you see it, right? You see like lens to first edit or camera to cloud. You've heard, I'm sure, both terms, which is basically trying to get content in the hands of the editors so they can start cutting faster. And why do they want to do that? Well, because they want to deliver more, and they want to be able to do it almost in parallel to what they're shooting. And there's a ton of benefits, not just to the editors getting their hands on the content so they can edit faster, but there's also the ability to look at things like continuity, or if you're on set and you want to look at color, and you want to look at different samples of what the content looks like, you can send all that stuff back to the people who are on set and potentially save money further down the line by not having to do reshoots right after the production's wrapped up. So that's the other trend we see, is the desire by the market to take as much metadata as they can, especially off the camera, and be able to feed that into the system so that we can use that information in intelligent ways to automate where it makes sense. AI, of course, is another huge trend. So we're using AI at Avid as ways to sort of drive those efficiencies as well. So transcripts and so on. Media Composers had script sync and phrase find in the product for a long time, but it was on an older technology. So we rewrote that whole technology, and it's now all AI based. And the way they did it was really important because we wanted to make sure it could run locally. You didn't have to have internet access because a lot of these environments are still, basically air gap type environments. So we want to make sure that you could do it in a local fashion, right? So anybody who has a single editor can take advantage of it, or someone on a massive network can also take advantage of it.
As you think about Avid, what would you say is the key thing you want people to remember about the company?
Avid's been around for such a long time, but I would say if you haven't looked at Avid in a long time, you should take another look at it, right? If you haven't used Media Composer in a long time, you should come back for many of the reasons we've already talked about. But I also think that the new ownership is going to be a real boon for the company from the standpoint that it's breathing new life into how we're approaching a lot of things, right? It's pretty exciting. I would say come back to Avid, take a look at it again if you haven't looked at it in a while, because it's absolutely worth it.